Joining Charles Robinson for the Political Roundtable this week is Pamela Wood of the Baltimore Sun. Thanks to both of you for being here.
Great to be here.
And Charles, we know a little bit more now about the governor's plan to replace the Baltimore Detention Center.
Yes, we actually was buried in a report on the physical briefing, and one of the things is that the questions came up about, well, what is this about? The Sun kind of broke it a little bit further by talking a little bit of Pamela about this whole idea that they were going to take money from some of the schools, specifically Morgan State University, as well as Cotton State and UMBC, to fund this new jail complex.
That's right. It's a $480 million plan to put a modern 6-story jail on the site of the old jail. But in order to come up with that money, something has to be sacrificed. In this case, it's higher education projects at those universities.
And I can tell you the optics of this are really getting grinded out here. In other words, do you want to give money to a jail, or do you want to take money from two of the major HBCUs in the school, in the state, if you will?
Well, in a year when there's consideration for reforming sentencing and criminal justice in general, and the prison populations have been declining overall. Now, this is a specific facility for Baltimore City.
Go ahead.
That's right. There have long been plans to demolish and rebuild that complex, even before Governor Larry Hogan shut it down several months back. The old plan was for a $700+ million project. This one is significantly less because actually the jail population is decreasing, so they can house fewer inmates there.
And they're talking about having some savings in construction by not having it go as long. I think they shortened the window down, what is it, about 4 years, or as opposed to 8 years to do this. And that's where they're saying the savings are going to come from.
So when we go from talking about major construction projects in Baltimore to little portable window air conditioners, and I'm imagining when we reported on this earlier in the program that they're talking about the type of thing that you would get for $100 at Best Buy to fix the problem with largely Baltimore County schools that aren't air conditioned. Digging a little bit deeper into that, there's a huge political subtext to it involving Peter Franchot, the governor, and the county executive. Let's fill us in on that a little bit.
Yeah, this has been going on for months, this issue of air conditioning in schools, particularly Baltimore County as well, Baltimore City. But it's really been Baltimore County Executive Kevin Kamenetz defending his progress in adding central air to more schools, but then Comptroller Peter Franchot and Governor Larry Hogan saying that Kamenetz isn't moving fast enough and should pursue these window units. Now, of course, we're only in 2016, but looking at 2018, Kamenetz and Franchot are considered potential gubernatorial candidates for the Democratic Party.
And then they added a little bit of politics to it by suggesting that this could be a Flint issue, a reference to Flint, Michigan, where they're having a lot of issues with lead in water, if you will.
And it was the comptroller who suggested that.
That's right. During a meeting on Wednesday where they approved the change to allow state money to be used for these portable air conditioners, he said multiple times, this could be our Flint, this is our Flint. Activists in Baltimore County have been dismissed just like the people in Flint. He got some flack for that, and I asked his office about it the next day, and he said what he said, and he stands that this is a public safety and public health problem for children.
What happens Monday? We know that there was an announcement today from the Senate President's office that he and the House Speaker were having a joint news conference to talk about the middle class, but no particulars. Do we know any more?
Other than the fact that they want to set their own agenda, and that's been one of the issues. Obviously, in the beginning of the legislative process here, we get a lot of stuff coming down from upstairs to tell us what the governor is going to do. Well, now the legislative leaders in both the House and the Senate are now going to kind of lay out their plan moving forward.
And it is sort of a hyper-political year, even though we're just in the second year of a term with divided government in the State House.
And look, the politics are raw here at this point. Every time there's a new initiative, people are looking at it, and Pamela, I don't know about you, but every time I talk to someone on either side of the aisle, they said, well, that's just us. And that's the way it kind of lays itself out. You've been here a long time. I don't know, are you getting the same kind of reaction from people on both sides of the aisle?
Well, it seems like there's always something that one side doesn't like about the other side. There's few things where we have found common ground between the two parties.
That's a good place to leave it. Pamela Wood of the Baltimore Sun, Charles Robinson, have a great weekend. And thank you for joining us for State Circle. We're back Monday with Direct Connection. Have a good night.